Friends, please listen carefully and try to understand this point. If you've become the kind of person who wakes up in the morning and immediately grabs your phone, spends hours scrolling through it until hunger finally forces you to eat, and after eating you feel lazy and go back to sleep, only to wake up and start scrolling through reels again. This pattern of behavior may sound familiar. Perhaps if a girl seeking attention shows you her body on the screen, you find it hard to resist, and the whole day slips by unproductively. Listen, don't think of this video as just another piece of self-improvement content. I'm not here just to make a video. I'm a 21-year-old who goes through these things daily. But the best part, I've found a solution to these problems, and that's why you should watch this video in full. It might solve 99% of the issues you're facing. Point 1. Have you ever noticed that when you avoid work or delay tasks you need to complete, by the end of the day, if those tasks aren't done, you feel a bit down? There's a common thread in all these situations. After doing certain things, we feel a lingering sadness that seems to tell us something is off. This sadness is like an alarm reminding us that we aren't living our lives right. So pay attention here. Sadness acts as a constant alert, indicating that we aren't on the right path. However, as soon as we feel sadness, we mistakenly think that we need happiness to counter it, so we immediately turn to things that bring us temporary pleasure. This might be hard to grasp right away, so let me explain it once more. Whenever you feel sad, it might seem like the sadness is due to a lack of happiness. That's why you start doing things that bring you quick joy. But the truth is, you haven't actually removed the sadness. You've simply masked it with fleeting happiness. And as soon as that happiness fades, the sadness returns because it was never really gone. You just covered it up temporarily. Here's an important point. That instant pleasure you sought was just a layer over your sadness, not a solution. Let me explain with an example. Take the act of masturbation. Often people resort to it when they have nothing exciting to do or when they're feeling empty inside. During this time, the mind gives you thoughts, tricking you into believing that this act will take away your sadness. But once you're done, the sadness comes right back. In other words, you haven't solved your sadness. You've just chased a temporary pleasure to forget it. So what does this tell us? It means you're relying on pleasure to forget your sadness instead of addressing it directly. This tendency to distract oneself to forget reality is what I call an addiction. We're often told that addictions only involve drugs or cigarettes, but that's not true. Anything that distracts us from our reality can be considered an addiction. This doesn't necessarily mean just drugs or smoking. Even if you're not involved in those, you're still hooked. If you rely on things like Instagram, food, or even sleep as an escape, these dependencies signal that if a person is fully immersed in seeking pleasure, they're using addiction as a way to mask their real feelings. Point 2, if you're thinking, if someone finds happiness in addiction, what's the problem? Then here's the answer. People who rely on pleasure to mask sadness aren't truly addressing their sadness. Our natural state is one of awareness. You can only distract yourself for so long before reality and the sadness that comes with it resurfaces. When you become aware, the sadness returns because you never truly got rid of it. You merely covered it up with temporary joy. So understand this clearly. You're sad, you're troubled, but to avoid dealing with the sadness, you keep falling back into addictions. This is why sadness won't leave your life. If you're following so far, let's move toward finding a solution. Point 3, many people reach out to me saying, I can't do anything. No amount of motivation works for me. I just lie around all day and by nightfall, I start thinking about ending it all. If this is how you feel, remember, the day a fire ignites within you, you won't need motivation anymore. The problem is, every time a spark arises, you rush to put it out with distractions and addictions. Let me explain. If you let this fire burn within instead of dousing it with addictions, it will start to give you strength. Yes, at first you'll feel restless, even desperate. It might even bring you to tears. Each minute will feel like an hour, but this pain will soon transform into the very fire that empowers you. After a while, it will give you the strength to think, I can't live like this anymore. You may not yet know where you want to go, but you'll know you can't stay where you are. Imagine you're trapped in a room with a bottle of poison beside you. You have two options: drink the poison and avoid the struggle of trying to escape, or smash the bottle, removing the option of escape through oblivion. With the poison gone, you're forced to face the heat of the fire, driving you to search for a way out. Once you stop numbing yourself, the fire will push you to look for a path out, to transform your life and to find liberation. Point 4, understand one crucial thing. If you're looking at happiness as the solution to your sadness, realize that most pleasures we chase are merely addictions. Happiness falls into two categories: easy to access pleasures like food, sleep, or social media, and the harder to attain goals like career success, respect, and security. But remember, both small and big pleasures are temporary and won't eliminate your sadness because you're only covering it up, not addressing it directly. Some people continuously chase these small pleasures and endure sadness daily. They're the tamasic people. Then there are the rajasic ones who realize these small pleasures are empty and begin chasing bigger goals, believing they will solve their sadness. Finally, there are the sattvic ones who understand that all pleasures, whether small or big, only bring temporary happiness. They realize that if they want to rid themselves of sadness, they must first escape the trap of addiction, then confront the root cause of their pain. Point 5. Now let's talk about fighting your own battles. I know it sounds difficult. Life isn't a movie where the hero effortlessly conquers all. But remember, if you are the hero, then the villain in your life, which is often your addiction, is 10 times stronger. It's like Spider-Man facing a villain much stronger than him. But despite knowing the odds, he fights with everything he has. Because for him, surrendering is not an option. And through this struggle, he realizes his true strength. This lesson applies to your life too. The villains in your life are the temptations and illusions that keep pulling you down, making you think that if you acquire a certain thing, you'll be happy. But when the illusion fades, you're left with the same emptiness. Let's illustrate this with an example. Suppose you're a person who uses distractions to hide from the ugliness of reality. You start realizing that happiness without struggle is meaningless, and that to move forward, you must abandon your addictions, confront the sadness, and strive toward your goals, even if it brings you pain. Because at the end of the day, true satisfaction doesn't come from escape, but from overcoming. The answer lies in breaking free from these temporary highs. Tell yourself that if you must endure sadness, then let it be the kind of sadness that leads to true freedom and personal growth. If every morning you can wake up with the determination to do something that truly benefits your life, something that strengthens your mind and body, you'll slowly move toward a life of peace and fulfillment. And if you still can't get yourself to act, at least avoid returning to your old distractions. When you stop seeking out easy happiness, your inner voice will push you, urging you to live a life that aligns with your higher purpose, rather than one that merely drifts in search of temporary relief. Yes, you might cry, you might feel restless, but keep going without retreating to those fleeting escapes. So friends, I hope this video has given you a solution to the problems that keep you from changing your life. In future videos, I'll talk more about what to do with the free time you gain when you cut out these addictions. Until then, make your own path, make mistakes, learn from them, and be ready for when we discuss these ideas again.